Morning and welcome to the webinar this morning. Today we're actually trying something new and we're hosting a webinar, but not really hosting a webinar. I've decided that maybe I need to bring a little bit of my coaching background and just what I normally bring into a room when I'm engaging with and supporting a group of people. And maybe that's what we need right now, more than just a slide presentation that's going to take you through a couple of tips. And if you leave and apply them, of course, change happens. But if you leave and don't apply them, then maybe change doesn't happen. And oftentimes we don't apply because we haven't been able to take the learning and convert it into something that applies to us right now in the moment. And I hosted a Leadership Evolution Masterclass session yesterday with a group of dynamic women that joined me a month ago to get going on this journey. And yesterday we hosted the session virtually. And one of the things that stood out from the session, because we're living in a time that's just completely different. We're living through challenges that are just astounding. We wake up each day and we're faced with a whole new set of challenges. And we talked about how COVID-19's impacted each of them. And it's differed from person to person. Those in essential services are really just sweating. They're putting their hearts and souls into getting stuff done, into delivering, into making sure that they're fulfilling their part so that the country can keep running, so that we can get the services that we need, the essential services that we need. Those that are working from home are finding bosses who think that now you're working from home, that there is no working hours. I mean, working hours and waking hours are pretty much the same thing. And then we've got the parents who've got children who are at school who need assistance, and you're now being a teacher and trying to support your child and getting them tech ready, tech savvy, so that they can use the technology that's available. There's just so many challenges that all of us are facing. And connecting to your inner Wonder Woman, I could do a presentation to you right now and give you the top 5 strategies to connect to your inner Wonder Woman, but I'd rather talk about those strategies and engage with you. With each of you in the room, let's listen to your stories. Let's listen to the challenges you're facing, and let me help you to make your challenges, to turn the context on your challenges, to come up with an action plan that's suitable for you, so that when you leave the session this morning, you're leaving with a step, a strategy, a tool, a tip that you can immediately apply and hopefully see a shift in your daily experience. But before we get into the strategies and into coach mode, let me say hello to all of you that are in the room with me today. If you haven't already done a shout out, popped a message into the chat box, now's the time to do it. Michelle, welcome. Nice to have you in the room with us. Karen from Johannesburg, always good having you with us. Bronwyn from sunny Durban, it's excellent that you're joining us today. Tom, I don't think I'd have a webinar that feels like a webinar without you. Thank you, as always, for joining. And it's really good to have your wife, Leander, on the session with us this morning. And Tom, you've made the right decision. You're in the room, and while we're talking about connecting to your inner Wonder Woman, you can connect to your inner Gladiator. The tools that I'm going to share will apply to absolutely anybody. So good to have you in the room. Lungile, hello, welcome to the room. Vinny, excited to listen to you. Vinny, I'm excited to listen to what you've got to share as well. And from Cape Town, always excellent to have you in the room. And thanks for joining us this morning. Monique from Cateridge, close to where I am. Monique, I'm from Pietermaritzburg this morning. Good to have you in the room with us. Karen saying, thanks, Tom. Leandra, welcome. From experience, I can vouch for Usha. She really knows how to empower women. Thank you, Karen. Karen's actually been going on a journey with me, and we nudge each other along. She's really part of my support network. And let's just dive straight in. If I'm going to give you top tips, I'm going to give them to you all through the session this morning. Top tip number 1 is, if you don't have a pack of powerful people around you, and Tom, when I say women, please know that I mean women and men, but today's session is for the Wonder Woman, so I'm going to talk language of women. If you don't have a tribe of powerful women around you that are spurring you on, that are telling you that you can do it, that are just filling you up with positivity, that are helping you to crush your own barriers, then you need to get started on that right away. And Karen's here vouching for me, and I'll vouch right back for her. Karen crushed some of her barriers this week, where she hosted her first ever online training session. And one of the programs that I'm really passionate about, and I launched during COVID-19, is called Be the Beacon. And Be the Beacon is about empowering you. If you've got something to share, a skill, a talent, knowledge that could empower groups of people outside of your normal circles, and if you're wanting to go online to share that message, then you need to get in touch with me and see how I can help you. We hosted a Be the Beacon session last week, and Karen's definitely a Be the Beacon champion, because she hosted her session this week. She did phenomenally, and she's going to be hosting one next week as well. So if you're on the Enshrine Learning Academy database, you'll get an email with all of the links, and we'll promote it on social media as well, so you can hop on and enjoy it. And oh, I like this format, and you're gonna have to try it as well. I think it's gonna work really well, because it feels like we're really talking to each other and getting stuck in, and that's what we do. We connect with people when we're connecting best face to face. So let's rather use the webcams and the technology we've got available to us and make it happen. Radashni Peters, lovely to have you on the call today. Thanks for joining us. Christelle Holder from Rustenburg, excellent to have you on the call. Komotso, also another dynamic woman. And I tell you, we need a tribe of dynamic women around us. And I've got so many. And looking at the list of women that have joined me here this morning, and Tom, I mean, like, it doesn't have to be just dynamic women, dynamic people in our tribe. Komotso, definitely one of those inspiring women that I've got in my tribe, and really excited to have her on the call this morning. Shanae Jacobs, morning from Durban, SA, part of the Enshrine team. Oh, I love the Enshrine team, the Enshrine philosophy. So always excellent to have you on the line with us. Sherilyn Apasami, hi, this is a great webinar format. It's my first time here. Sherilyn, shout out to Sherilyn, who reached out to me after seeing my Facebook post. And I only posted this last night, like at, I don't know, 9, 10 at night. I thought, oh, I haven't shared the webinar on Facebook as yet. Let me just punted on social media, and Sharon reached out and said, Usha, I host the women forums at work, and would you maybe have a chat with women and do your thing? And shout out to you, Sharon, because that's exactly it. We should be looking at how can we engage others for support when we need it. We should be bold enough to ask, and when we ask for help, we actually get it. Oh, there we go, top tip number 2. I'm going to be dropping these all the way through the session, so make notes. If you're struggling with absolutely anything, if you even have a thought pop into your head, oh, I'd like to do that. Oh, that looks interesting. Maybe I can incorporate that in the service offerings that I have for my clients. Then raise your hand and ask somebody to help you. Go out there and look for content that you can learn from to allow you to bring that into your current experience. So, Sherilyn, well done for that. Komotso, is there no video? Komotso, there is video. Okay, let me also then ask you all. I'm busy doing my shoutouts. As soon as I'm done with my shoutouts, I'm going to read up whether you can hear me. So, pop a comment into the chat box if you can hear me and see me. So just go hear and see, so I'll know both of these formats are working, because right now I'm talking, sending you audio, and I am streaming some video as well. So just let me know that you can hear and see me, and then we're gonna dive right into this morning's session. Marandi from Lagos, Nigeria. Excellent to have you all the way up Africa. Lovely to have you in the room with us today. Kajal Pillay. Hi, Kajal. Welcome into the room today. Good to have you back. And you are now Be the Beacon session, I'm sure, with Bernard the other day. So good to have you in the room with us again today. Margaret Gustavo. Good morning from Namibia, Windhoek. Excellent to have you in the room with us. Thanks for joining us. Oh, the problem with shouting out on names is at times we mess up the names. I'm going to try this. Machi Koma. Oh, please forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. I don't like saying people's names wrong, but I'm going to say Machi Koma. Good morning from Polokwane. Good to have you in the room with us. Sharon Peterson from Johannesburg. Excellent to have you in the room with us. Marion from Nairobi, Kenya. Excellent having the. Oh, we've got people from all over Africa in the room with us, and maybe there's somebody silent that hasn't said hi from somewhere else in the world that's in the room with us, and we've got people from all over South Africa. This is really exciting. Nirvana Ramprasad from Santon. Excellent to have you in the room with us. Amanda Swanepoel from Pretoria. Wonderful to have you in the room with us. Banu Naika from Midrand. Thanks for joining us. Janelle van Lingen from Bitbank. Thanks for joining us. And now I can get all of the hear and see. Kajal, no video, but I'm seeing a lot of people can hear me and a lot of people can see me as well. I'm getting yes and a yes. So can only hear you. If you can only hear me and you can't see me, that's okay. So you're getting all of the voice feed, and that's where all of the magic's streaming through to you. If you can hear and see me, even better. Because then we're getting the platform to work like we'd like it to work. So a lot of you can hear and see me. That's excellent. Maybe if you can't get the video stream refreshed, but it could also just be a setting on your browser. And I don't want to spend time on that right now. If you can hear me, I think then we're a-okay. Let's go for it. And most of you can hear and see me. So I want to talk to you about, so I said yesterday I had a session with the Leadership Evolution Masterclass ladies that I'm currently coaching through a program. And they were talking about some of the challenges that they're facing. And it got me thinking about the challenges that I've been facing through COVID-19, and I've been facing many. But I'm a catalyst profile. And let me just quickly unpack what a catalyst profile is. A catalyst profile is the type of personality that actually thrives in change, that thrives in creating new things, in innovating, and in solving problems. And when I woke up and we were in COVID-19 and in lockdown in South Africa, my brain actually just never went to sleep again. And all I've been doing is solving problems. And so if we look at the solutions that are put out there, and as a trainer, a coach, a mentor, a speaker, I could have sat back and thought, okay, well, I can't go out there and train. I can't coach. I can't teach. I might as well just lay back and relax. But when I woke up and it was lockdown, my catalyst profile, which is very inspired and driven by change, just is completely thriving and hasn't even allowed me to sleep too much in the last few weeks, which is a good thing. Because I've managed in the last few weeks to put out content that I could never have thought possible in the last year. And I've already gone and I've pushed products out that I've been thinking about pushing out for over a year, so maybe 18 months, 24 months, and just never got around to doing it. And that just brings me to the point of discussing energy with you. My catalyst energy is what drives me. And each of us has a different pool of energy. So I'm actually going to close the slide because I'm not talking to the slides now. We're just talking. And I'm going to share with you a couple of things as we go. So it brings me to the topic of energy and understanding our personal energies. Now, if you look around, I mean, think about the teams you work in, even think about if you're in a family unit, think about other family members, you've got friends, think about your circle of friends, and think about what drives each type of friends. I mean, some friends or some people that you know in your network, and maybe even you, is very energized by engaging with other people. And now when we're in lockdown and you're having to stay in your own home with this one group of people for an extended period of time, and we don't even know. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty around this. We could wake up at the end of April and lockdown may still be a reality for us, so we don't know. Now, if your energy thrives on engagement, if your energy thrives on connection, then this lockdown period is going to be very draining for you. If all you're experiencing is yourself, doing the same routine tasks on a daily basis, engaging with the same people on a daily basis. So we've got to really understand our energies and then understand how to feed and revitalize those energy sources. And all of us are different. Like I said, I'm very happy to be locked away in a room creating during this lockdown period, and that revitalizes me. But if I were the type of person who needed connection with other people, then I'm going to really be struggling during lockdown. So if you're the type of person who's struggling during lockdown, if something's really weighing you down and you're feeling like you've got your energy is just being depleted, then maybe just pop me a note in the chat and I want to hear from you. So we're talking about energy now, and you might not have a name for your energy profile. You get a name for your energy profile by completing a profiling assessment, and there are tons of profiling assessments out there. I use the Contribution Compass, and with the Contribution Compass, it's a tool that will tell you what your profile is, explain to you what your strengths are, but then most importantly, and what I am completely in love with, it tells you a lot about your energy balance. And it helps you to understand your source of energy, and it helps you to understand what depletes and drains your energy. If you're feeling like you're highly energized during this COVID-19 lockdown period, tell me what's driving those high levels of energy that you're currently experienced. If you're feeling drained from an energy perspective, I mean, you wake up in the morning and you don't have the drive to get going. You're just struggling to push forward. what is it that's draining your energy? And I'll give you a couple of examples that I've also picked up during the session with the Leadership Evolution Masterclass ladies yesterday. And some of them are really very, they have really very grounded energies, and they love stability. A grounded energy just loves and thrives with stability, thrives in an environment of certainty, thrives within boundaries. And what some of them are experiencing is that those boundaries have all but vanished now during lockdown. You've got teams that are needing to engage with you constantly, that are needing your help constantly. You have clients that you need to service, and their needs are differing, and their boundaries are moving. You've got bosses who think that they can call you at any time, day or night, because now you're working from home, and working from home means if you're home, then you're working. So boundaries have been completely shattered. And for somebody who's got an energy that's really grounded and solid and thrives on boundaries and structures and knowing and having certainty, right now, everything that's happening around us, everything that's happening in the environment that we're exposed to is completely draining that energy. And we've got to put mechanisms in place on a daily basis to top up our own energy sources. Or when we don't top up those energy sources, you start to see things breaking around you. You might start to see that you're snapping at others very easily. You might just feel exhausted and want to sleep all of the time. You might just want to sit and binge watch Netflix constantly. And all of those are just symptoms of your energy levels not being at the right level, and you're not being able to top them up in a way that suits you. So let me look at a couple of comments here. Okay. Sherilyn Apasami says, learning, growth, and opportunities enticing me at this time. That is really interesting. There are so many people who are just completely thriving because of the opportunity to learn new things and to stretch their minds and to stretch their capabilities and their abilities. And knowing yourself well enough, and then feeding yourself with the food that's going to keep your energy levels at an all-time high is what you need to be doing. So embrace all of the learning opportunities, and there's tons and tons and tons available out there right now. It's just about getting the sources that are right for you, and then learning the things that are going to tie into the longer term goals that you've got set for yourself. So really make this time count. Make the investment that you make in learning count and pay you rewards down the line in the future. We've got a comment coming through privately saying that I'm struggling. I think if you want me to assist you with the things that you're struggling with, then just be specific. You can send me a private note. So at the bottom of the chat box, instead of letting it go to everyone, just send it to me privately, and then I'll address your concern, but I'll address it privately. But the first top tip is know your energy levels. And as soon as you feel like your energy levels are dipping, start to top them up, but top them up in a way that is right for you. You might be the type of person who loves to take a long bath, and when you take a long bath, bubble bath, then your energy levels start to top up because you're having alone time, me time. You're able to think and process information that you've gathered throughout the day, and you're able to just let go of the things that are bogging you down. If that's what feeds you, then make sure that you're making time for that on a daily basis. And time's also becoming quite precious. How we utilize our time, how we allocate it to the different tasks, how we bring structure and order into how our time is being used on a daily basis. Because time, even though it feels like we've got an abundance of time right now, if we don't use that time and prioritize properly within that time, then the things that we really need to achieve don't happen. And then the flip side is then that starts to drain our energy, because we know at the back of our minds that the things we want to do and achieve are not getting done. We've got a comment here, Bronwyn, saying, spending time upskilling myself and doing all my admin that I generally leave. That's actually excellent, because some of us, I mean, I know, speaking for myself as well, admin is one of those things that I would never want to do. I constantly want to stay in create mode, in deliver mode, in the exciting mode, and the admin starts to pile up in the background. If you can structure in time right now to catch up on all of that admin, get it out of the way, put systems in place to make the admin become a lot easier after lockdown, I think that's a great strategy to be adopting. Thanks for that, Bronwyn. Lungile says, uncertainty is killing me because I like staying in control. I also enjoy the ability to move. Routine kills me. I am an adult ADHD. Lungile, I feel your pain. The uncertainty is killing all of us. But what you can start to do is to start breaking down the information into the controllable and the uncontrollable, and then start feeding yourself with certainty around the items that are controllable, and start to eliminate the content or start to reduce the amount of content that you're processing in the areas that are not controllable. So if you're sitting in front of the news and you're watching what's happening with COVID-19 around the world, maybe it's time to stop doing that. If you're reading all of the press releases and you're just constantly staying up to date, how many new cases, where are those cases, all of that information, it's going to bring a lot of the negative thinking and the fear thinking in, and it's going to increase the levels of uncertainty that you're feeling. So look at your days, look at where you're spending your time, and look at how can you compartmentalize different aspects of your life, and then start creating certainty in each of those areas very differently. So just start to weed out anything that's draining you and adding uncertainty into the mix, and that comes into a lot of the content that we're putting into our minds. Start to block off those content and start to only feed yourself with things that creates that sense of certainty for you. I like staying in control. Control is, and I must tell you, I learned this a few years ago from a coach that I was working with. And control, I'm very much a control person. I want to control absolutely everything. And if it's not in my control, then I don't think it's going to happen right. And it just stresses me out. So very much a control person. But I had to learn that control is pretty much an illusion that we give ourselves. And when we understand that control is an illusion, we actually can't control anything. We can take steps and measures to get the best outcome in situations, so we can contribute effectively. We can create the systems and processes around it. We can create the structure and the order. We can have the right connections and the right engagement to make things work the way we'd like it to work. But at the end of the day, nothing, absolutely, there's absolutely nothing that we have 100% control over. And that's a big concept to understand or even unpack in a short time together. But I want you to sit with it and think about each situation, because even I, at the time when I was taught this, I thought, like, no ways is that true. I control so many things. I mean, I could list them at the back of my hands. I control all of these things because that's who we are. We're controlling people. We're control freaks at the heart of it all. A lot of us anyway, I am. And I had to actually sit with it. And it took me a long time to just reflect and digest and process. And eventually I understand that actually nothing is within my control. I can give it my best effort. I can do all of the things that I need to do to make it happen in the way that I want it to happen, but it's out of my control at the end of the day. And when you let that go, when you let that feeling go, and that hold that we've got on this whole fixation of being in control, we release that, we actually find that we create a lot more flow in our lives, and you start to bring certainty into the areas that matter most. So Lungile, thank you for that comment. That actually helped me to share quite a bit around there. Benny saying, definitely drained energy, spending too much time on Netflix. Benny, I am a fan of Netflix, but I've been watching Netflix maybe an hour and a half at the end of the day with my family, and they watch a lot more than that. But I do catch up at the end of the day and just spend a bit of time with them. But if you allow yourself to get stuck into a routine that is draining you, that is taking away from you, that is stealing your time, then at the end of lockdown, you're going to look back. I mean, forget the end of lockdown, maybe in a year's time, maybe in 2 years' time, you're going to look at people around you. You're going to look at peers. You're going to look at people that entered lockdown exactly in the same position as you, but have created something that is very different. And we create based on where we're spending our time and where we're spending our energy. So, Benny, please, from today, I want you to think about, what is it that feeds my energy? What is it that I can do to feed my soul? What is it that I can do to make me happier? What is it that I can do to expand my creativity? What is it that I can do to learn something new? Pick one of those areas. What is it that I can do to understand my finances better? Pick an area that is important to you and make a list of the actions that you can take. And every day, where you would have started the day watching Netflix at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, sit down and go through something on the action list. And if you're unable to do it on yourself, connect with a group of peers or friends and create some sort of accountability network so that you can actually get these things done. And as soon as you start to cut down on the time that you're spending with Netflix, you're starting to take back control. And there's this control term again, but we can control certain things. We can control where we spend our time. We can control where we invest our energy. We can control what our minds are focused on. And when we're doing that, that's when we're achieving things that are very different. That's where we're unlocking potential that starts to get hidden and buried under all of the series and the episodes and the new movies that we're watching on Netflix. So Benny, number one action for you is to cut down the time on Netflix. Don't get rid of it. I mean, we've got to do things that make us happy and bring some joy into our lives. But you're going to find joy. You're going to find happy. You're going to replace the feeling you're getting out of Netflix by actually contributing to something that makes you happy. You're a multi-dimensional person. There are many areas that make you happy. Find the one that you want to invest in and set some actions to start investing in them today. Not tomorrow, today. We've got Shanae saying drained energy just because there's so much to juggle, kids, school, work out. Oh my gosh, I feel your pain. When you're not helping the kids with their schoolwork, you're now having to do laundry. And if you're not doing laundry, you're having to scrub the floors. And when you're not doing that, then you're having to cook and clean and just do a whole bunch of other stuff. And at the end of each day, you're probably feeling completely exhausted. And when we allow our minds and our minds to go into this exhausted state, exhausted, frazzled state, we are actually impacting the level at which we perform. Now, this is an emotional intelligence awareness tip that I'm going to give you. As soon as we allow ourselves to shift into a space of this intense exhaustion, this intense frustration, we actually start to reduce the level of our performance. Now, we do this for ourselves, and the same applies to our teams and our colleagues and our families. As soon as we go past the level of peak performance and highly energized and engaged, and we go into a state of being tense and frustrated and stressed and just pushed beyond your limit, our levels of performance start to dip. And when our levels of performance start to dip, it means that we take more time that is needed to complete a task that we would have completed in less time had our energy levels been at the right level. So Shanae, it's really important for you to actually just, and I know it's difficult. I mean, where do you find 5 minutes? Where do you find 10 minutes in a day? But to just sit down, maybe straight after this call and say, okay, so I've got all of these things that I need to do. Firstly, is there anything on this list that I can delegate? And it's difficult to delegate when there's nobody to delegate to. But even when we think there's no one to delegate to, there actually is someone to delegate to. So if it looks like cooking and you're doing everything from chopping and washing and cleaning up thereafter, then say, well, can I involve maybe the spouse or the partner or the kids in some of these activities so that it reduces the time that I've got to spend doing it. So in each thing that you're doing, think about how can I maybe upskill someone else in the house so that they can take over part of this, or they can join me and we can do it like a team building activity every day, have some laughs and play some music while we're doing it. And if we're doing it that way, we're actually recharging our batteries while we're doing it. So sit down and think about, well, what are the things that I'm spending all of my time on? Is there anything that I can pass on or share the load on? And then how can I make the really mundane stuff a little bit more fun? I mean, I do the cooking, but I always play music really loud in the kitchen while I'm doing it. And then after we're done cooking and we've had our supper, then as a family, we all clean up together and sort out everything before we leave the kitchen. And I actually like cooking alone. So I prefer it when I'm in the kitchen alone cooking. I've got the music playing. And if I'm in a mode where I'm developing something new, then I play an audio book, but I've got something playing in the background that's now stimulating me. I don't even know that I'm spending my time doing a chore. And then before I know it, it's over. So Shanae, for you, it's about looking at all of the things that you're juggling and how can you start to just save a little bit of time on each of them. And even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes here or there, at the end of the day, you're going to have saved at least a half an hour. Then say, I've saved this time, I've banked it. Now, how can I use it to replenish my own energy sources? And then do something for yourself just to fill up, because if you don't, and if you keep the hustle going day after day after day, the frustration eventually becomes too much, and it turns into overwhelm, and then things break. Our relationships break. The happiness and the balance in the house breaks. In fact, we break ourselves. So you've really got to look at how can you do that to just start to shift it. And it might not be something you can do drastic changes to immediately, but you can certainly take small steps, and it's the small steps that contribute to the big results thereafter. Ronald saying, rethinking the industry in a new reality, creating a new business model for post-COVID. Ronald, that is absolutely essential. Innovation and just rewiring how we're doing things is critical. And if we can do that now and really just unlock something new and exciting that we can take to market post-COVID, then we're going to be ahead of the game, because business is going to be business unusual, whether we like it or not. Ronald, please, if you didn't join the session that we had with Be the Beacon and Bernard last week, then maybe just pop me an email. I'll send you a link to it, or you go head across to my YouTube channel. Some really good discussions were had around the whole rethinking the business model and innovating. And then Bernard brought his marketing knowledge and spin into the room as well, which was really great. So maybe you just want to pop across the YouTube channel or pop me an email and I'll send you the link to it. We've got Komoto saying, true control. Oh, Komoto is replying to Julia. Thank you, Komoto. True control is an illusion. I have learned more of this during lockdown. Absolutely, control is such an illusion. Rudashni, spending my time engaged in the professional business coaching course through Gibbs. Well done. I mean, that is now uplifting ourselves in a way that's going to help you to uplift others in the future. That's excellent. It's been an amazing journey. So keeping me focused. Getting my 16-year-old to be disciplined about online learning has been a challenge for all of us. And lastly, helping my special needs son adapt to the new current situation where he cannot go out for walks in the estate. He is struggling as he does not understand this new normal. I've let the need to control go. Rideshni, that's absolutely beautiful. I mean, just everyone's got a story to share in terms of how this has impacted them, their families, their loved ones. And certainly you've made room to do something for yourself, and you're feeding yourself and you're energizing yourself. And I'm pretty certain that the energy that you're giving to yourself, you're then able to utilize, because we've got to generate energy in ourselves to be able to help others. And that's something we must remember. We've got to help our family members through this. We've got to help our children through this. We've got to help our colleagues and our team members and our communities. Whatever we're doing doesn't mean that we're out there physically doing it all of the time, but we're able to do it and support. In order to do that, in order to make an impact, in order to make a difference, in order to have influence, in order to give back, we have to fill our own cups. And Rudashni, that's brilliant that you're filling your own cups through knowledge and empowering yourself to be able to give back at a different level thereafter. Your 16-year-old, well, good luck with that. We've all got many of us have the teenagers that we're trying to get into discipline mode. Structure and order works really well. I put up a list in the fridge. I just stuck it up with a magnet, and there's a list of what I expect done in a day. And I'm not the type who likes being micromanaged, and I hate micromanaging others. So the list is there, and then it's up to the two teenagers to fit it in during the day and make sure that it's all done before we sit down to dinner together, because that's where we'll go like, oh, did you do this? What did you do today? How did your day go? I mean, even though we sit in the same house, they're spending a lot of time getting through their stuff, and I'm spending a lot of time getting through my stuff, and my husband's spending a lot of time getting through his stuff. But we all congregate at different points in the day, and that's where we can do it. So create some sort of system and structure for them to be able to be flexible and have the room to do the things that they need to do in. But at the end of the day, we all need system and structure. Usha, on point, I am ready to take control. Very well done. You see, that's exactly what I want. That energizes me. And thanks, Usha, for that input. Lungile, thank you. Meloshni, bet you agree. We are all control freaks, aren't we, though? Hey? But letting go of the uncontrollable, like others' actions, and not following the COVID updates daily has helped me to be less stressed. Absolutely. I mean, that's a simple thing that we can all do. It's almost like a drug. We want to know what's happening. We want to keep abreast. We want to be able to say, oh, this is what's happening here and this is what's happening there. Actually, why? We're just taking precious space in our minds, precious energy, and we're devoting to something that we cannot control, we cannot manage, we have no influence and power over. So yes, absolutely, by all means, once a day, go top up and get to know what's happening around the world, but we don't need the running feed. We don't need it on our Facebook feeds. We don't need it on any sort of streaming information channels that you've got going. Just cut it all off. Fill yourself with the good stuff. Shanae, thank you. Great advice. I'll most definitely put these points into action. Thank you, Shanae. I mean, that's all the thank you I need, is to know that you'll walk out of the session today and do something. Take one action that's going to make your life feel a whole bunch better thereafter. Crystal, if things get tough, I meditate. Crystal, isn't that beautiful? And that's exactly it. We've got to find what we need to do to top up our own energy reserves. And meditation is one of those universal tools that many of us can benefit from. And if it works for you, then make time in the day, no matter how busy you are, to get your meditation in. And okay, top tip again. You don't need to have to go away and sit down in a quiet room and have a half an hour just to meditate. You can actually, meditation's also about just shutting off your brain to all of the noise, to all of the fears, to all of the uncertainties, to all of the thoughts that are coming in. It's just quietening down our minds. And we can quieten down our minds even in a noisy space. It definitely works better in a quiet space, but even in a noisy space. So there should be no excuses not to just reconnect to a quieter mind and give yourself that space to just clear out the junk and to bring in the good vibes and energy into our lives. So thanks for sharing that, Crystal. That's a good suggestion. Okay, so I've got someone asking me for the link to last week's session. I'll send it out in after this webinar. I'll send a replay link and I'll send a link to last week's session as well, so you've got it. Marion, this journey has given me the opportunity to take my virtual assistant business to a higher level. Marion, this is very exciting. The extra time now I'm using to vigorously market the services. I think this is the moment for me to break away from the 8 to 5 structure. Marion, absolutely. This is the moment for many of us to shine. Find the opportunity in the crisis and then chase after that opportunity hungrily. If you've got the skills already developed, then definitely what you're doing is so beautiful. And Marion, I'm wishing you all of the best. The VA market is exploding globally. It's definitely taken South Africa by storm. And I know that Enshrine Placements have got a whole virtual assistant program coming up, and maybe if you're connected to the Enshrine Placements and Learning Academy, you'll get information on that as well. But definitely a place to be investing your time, and definitely start thinking about how can I get away from the 8 to 5. Now, it's not about telling all of us that we all need to get away from the 8 to 5. Definitely not. But let's look around at the reality that's happening in the country and in the rest of the world. The fact is, job security is a thing of the past. There is so much of uncertainty in terms of the business survival, in terms of what's going to happen from an employment perspective going forward. There's just tons and tons and tons of uncertainty. And if you're taking this time right now to just sit back and enjoy some time out and relaxation, and you're not focused on your next, then maybe you're losing the greatest opportunity of your life as well. It is absolutely critical for each and every single one of us to, irrespective of whether we're business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, mentors, employees, to sit back and say, what am I going to be doing differently? How am I going to innovate? If I'm an employee, how am I going to help my company to thrive? Because if my company thrives, then I stay in employment. Then we keep job retention at a high. But if we're not doing that, if we're not investing our time now thinking about how to innovate, how to transform, how to change, how to create, how to evolve into what the market's going to need, then we're wasting the greatest opportunity we'll ever have. Because when normal resumes and the rat race is back on again, but we're now being faced with all of the impacts of COVID-19, the real impacts of which we still haven't felt as yet, which is still going to come, which is going to probably be bigger than any of us can imagine. Let's prepare ourselves. Let's equip ourselves. Let's do the things we need to do. Let's be like Marion and say, okay, I've got these skills. Now's the time for me to set it up and make it happen. So if you're not already doing that, if you're not thinking broader than what you currently do to earn a living, then you need to actually set that as your number one priority and get going on that, because there is no time. And this is not about pressuring you or stressing you out. It's about saying there really is no time like the present to create the future that you're going to want to live in. And all of that power lies in your hands, not in anyone else's hands, but in your hands alone. So Marion, thank you for that. It allowed me to share a little bit around that as well. I got a definitely with an exclamation from Radashni. Thank you so much. Yes, system and structure is what works. Banu, you're totally on point. And not all of us are system structure people. So we started off in saying we need to understand our energy. We need to understand what drives us. And we've got a lot of people who are driven by connection and the freedom to just evolve and grow, and who really run as fast as possible away from structure and order, from systems and processes. And they would thrive more in the space of connection and engagement and people and inspiration. But right now, if we don't create structure and order within which we can then excel, and within which our teams can thrive, and within which our families and friends and communities and whoever else we're supporting can thrive and really flourish, then we might also be missing the boat. So if you're someone who struggles with structure and order, this is not a call to say that you need to bring intense amounts of structure and order into your life, but it's a call to say that right now we do need to be looking at creating more structure and order, because when we've got structure and order, it creates a little bit more certainty. And in the time that we're living in, where there's so much of uncertainty, we want to bring in small doses of certainty wherever we can. So that's a great point. Thanks, Banu, for raising that. Radashni, apologies. Okay, that's no problem. Arisha, some activities feel like a routine. Is there ways to realignment with positivity, these routines? So you're saying that some activities feel like a routine. So when we're doing activities over and over again, it actually tends to feel a little bit boring after a while. Maybe that's what you're trying to say, Arisha. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you're in doing routine tasks and they start to be boring after a while, then think about how you can top up your energy around those boring routine tasks. One of the things that you can do is to shift the context on them. So if you're doing routine tasks and the context around them is, I've got to get these routine boring admin tasks done and I've got to do it every single day, then it's going to really deflate you to get it done. But if you go and say, I'm doing these tasks because it's going to help me to free up time so that I can do the things that I want to do, whether that is creating, engaging, playing, whatever it is that you want to spend your time on the fun side of it, then maybe shift the context. And you could shift the context by thinking about it differently and going, oh, I'm going to get these routine tasks out of the way because when I do that, it allows me to free up a whole bunch of time to spend on the things that I really want to do. And I believe that I'm most capable of getting routine activities done in the morning. So from 8 to 9 a.m., I'm just going to bang out the tasks that are the norm and they're out of the way. And then I've got the rest of the day for myself, or whatever the case might be for you. So maybe you've got routine tasks that are filling up a lot of your day. Think about how you're thinking about those routine tasks. Because as soon as we start to think about things negatively, as soon as the context that we create around something is negative, it starts to sap our energy. It starts to move us into that, and I spoke earlier of us moving into the side of the scale where we're feeling stressed and frustrated and overwhelmed. Bored is one of those feelings as well. As soon as we're in that state of mind and that state of flow, actually things don't flow properly. Actually, our performance level dips and we cannot deliver as quickly as we would like to deliver. So if you shift the context around what it is you need to do that is routine and feels like a little bit of drain on you, shift the context around it. What are you telling yourself about these tasks? And as soon as you're able to do that, it will allow you to stay in a frame of mind that does not get bored, that is not feeling drained and frustrated and stressed. It will allow you to complete those tasks a whole bunch quicker. So if you've got any other comments or questions, please pop them into the chat box, because this is really just a two-way engagement, and what you're putting out there is what's feeding me in order to help me to share a lot more than just 5 tips or pointers with you this morning. So we spoke about quite a few things. I mean, we spoke about context right now. It's reframing the problems into something that could feel a lot lighter and more like a solution than a problem. And as soon as we do that, we flip a switch in our brains that enables us to get it done and get it done a whole bunch quicker. We spoke about energy, knowing ourselves well enough to know what energizes us and then topping up those energy reserves every single day. And it's not about having to spend the whole day topping up our reserves, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, however often you can, to just top up the reserves so that we don't move into that stressed, overwhelmed state and stay in that stressed, overwhelmed state. Because once we're there and we're there for a long time, it's hard to pull yourself back. So feed your energy on a daily basis, manage it, recharge yourself on a daily basis. I've got Shawn Thompson saying, one can use this time to focus more on improving your strengths rather than your weaknesses. Strengthen your natural abilities before your learned abilities. Shawn, that is absolutely brilliant. One of the things that we're naturally inclined to doing is focusing on our weaknesses. And I spoke to you earlier about the contribution compass, a profiling tool that I use, and it really points out your energies quite clearly. It also points out your strengths very clearly. So if you don't know your strengths, go away and list what your strengths are. Think about what people compliment you on. Think about the things that energize you, the activities, the tasks that energize you that you can get through really quickly. And make a list of all of your strengths. And like Shawn is suggesting here, start to develop those strengths and move them into the next level. So if your strength, for example, is networking and relationship building, I mean, if we look around us, some of us are really good at that, and some of us really run away from it as quickly as possible. But if maybe networking and relationship building is one of your strengths, even now during lockdown, you can take that strength to a new level. Think about, if this is a core strength of mine, if it's something I'm really good at, how can I use it to help? So whether you're helping your company, your family, your community, how can I use it to help? And you fill in the blank, by making the strength even stronger. So increasing your network even more, increasing your reach even more, sharing more content, connecting people that could help each other. So what can you do to take your strengths and list all of your strengths, pick 3 of them maybe, and start developing those further? What can you do to take those strengths to a new level, and then connect it back to other objectives you're trying to achieve here? We spoke already that we should be reinventing ourselves, that we should be innovating, that we should be recreating what our future looks like, so that we can position ourselves to take advantage of whatever opportunities might come in the future and limit the risks that we're going to be exposed to. Think about how your strengths connect to the opportunities that you could be chasing, and then develop the strengths that are going to unlock the greatest opportunity for you. Shawn, that's a brilliant point. It's something we should all be focusing on. So if you don't know your strengths, you really should go and make that your action point for today. List your strengths. Think about what the people compliment you on. Think about the things that you're just able to get done when other people struggle with, and find your top 3 strengths that are going to link back to an opportunity, and invest a lot of time in developing those and sharpening those skills. Take time to declutter all aspects to clear your mind, like emails, cupboards, give unused items to people of need. That's what I'm doing right now. It's uplifting my energy. Absolutely. So in the same way that our energy gets drained by the things that we do, it gets drained by the clutter around us. And clutter comes in all of the stuff that we bring into our minds. So we're feeding ourselves with all of the news stories and the information overload with regards to coronavirus, or all of the negative stuff that's happening in the world. That's clutter. And you can take steps to reduce that clutter. But in the same way, if we start to simplify all aspects of our life, our living space, our desk space, our closets, our whatever. So if we start to simplify in those areas, get rid of the clutter, it starts to free up space, and we actually start to feel a lot more energized as well. You've got time right now. So a great suggestion there to get that done. Banu, remembering your goals will increase energy and focus. Banu, I could not agree more with you. Goals, and really something that we should all be telling ourselves right now, is goals are critically important. They always have been. Our goals are not just for us. So if you're setting a goal and you think that the only person that's going to benefit from that goal is you, I guarantee you're wrong. So go back and think about any goal that you've ever set, and think about who could have benefited out of you having achieved that goal. And I'm pretty certain that you're going to see that there's a circle of people, and that circle grows in relation to the size of the goal that you've set. So maybe you've set some big, hairy, audacious goals in the past, and go back and say, well, who was able to benefit or gain out of the goal that I achieved? The fact is that irrespective of what goal you're setting, you're achieving it not just for you alone. So if you start to use this selfless approach to setting and achieving your goals, you'll realize the importance that that your goal setting has, not just to you, but to a circle much wider than yourself. Goal setting is not about you achieving for yourself only. Setting massive goals, going out and chasing them and achieving them, is how you're going to impact and influence and help others as well. So now more than ever before, you need to be setting yourself powerful goals. I mean, if we look at Marion, who said that she's setting up a VA business, that's not about just setting up your VA business so that you can achieve an income for yourself. When you set up your VA business, you're going to help clients to achieve their goals. You're going to be servicing people in need who can't afford to bring in someone on a full-time basis, who need the skills at the level that you're able to deliver it, who need the quality at the level you're able to deliver it, but can only afford to pay the hourly rate or the package rate that you'll be putting out into the market. So achieving your goals is not about you. Achieving your goals is about the community that you'll be serving. And now more than ever before, if you haven't been someone who's just been completely bound to your goals and making sure that you're chasing them down, you know them, you're chasing them down, you're achieving them, please go away and set yourself some goals and achieve them now more than ever before, because as a world, we need we need all of our citizens just actively out there doing and achieving and growing, so that the community and companies and employees and families and individuals can benefit from it. Kajal says strengths for unlocking opportunities like that. Strengths for opportunities. So Kajal, I don't know if you're asking me a question, but if you develop your strengths, you can certainly develop the strengths that help you to unlock opportunities. You can develop strengths that help you to see opportunities better. So definitely strengths is something we should be focused on and developing over the course of the weeks that we've got the time to do so in any case. Tom, even though the courses are targeted at women, I enjoy and take points that I can share with my daughters. Also, when I get back into the workplace, I can be aware of the needs of the women in the team, bearing in mind I'm mainly a tempering person. Tom, see you talking about tempering energy. That's excellent. And tempering energy is refining energy. It's the energy that helps us to create structure and order. So all this talk about structure and order, Tom, must be really, really cool for you. And yes, while the session's targeted to women, and it's because I work a lot with women and we're able to engage and relate on a different level, absolutely everything that I've shared today applies to anyone that wants to take it. I mean, all of the content that we've talked about today is practical, it's simple, and it's there for absolutely anybody to take and implement and take action on. So thanks for that, Tom. So we spoke about energy, we spoke about awareness, just knowing yourself, knowing how you're feeling, knowing how you need to rewire yourself, reframe yourself, how you need to spend your time, where you need to spend your time. We spoke about context, so important to always reframe the context into a positive context so that we can actually enable ourselves to take action on it. Anything that we see with in a negative context through a negative lens is what holds us back and limits us from taking action. We've spoken a lot about energy and just managing your energy and driving yourself to achieve more by balancing your energy and by topping it up when the energy levels are going down. And we've spoken a lot about time. I mean, the fact that we've got time right now, we've got to invest it in a way that's going to yield returns for us in the future. And we've spoken about the one thing I haven't touched on is our belief systems. And beliefs are at the core of ourselves. And it's one of the lenses through which we process information. And really around this entire situation, if we're walking around believing that we're susceptible, or believing that harm is going to come to us, or anytime we're believing something that takes away from our positive energy, it shifts us into a space where we can't perform and where we can't really drive positive action for ourselves. So anytime you're feeling stressed and anxious and really just exhausted, then go back and say, okay, that's the situation that made me feel this way. Is there an underlying belief system here that is making me feel this way? So a really simple example could be that you're the mom in the household, and you've always been the one that is responsible for taking care of the children and for cooking and for cleaning. And now you've got a partner in the house who is there and who has time to assist in all of these things. But the belief system's always been that the woman has to do it, and the man doesn't really need to roll up sleeves and get involved. And if that's the belief system you're functioning on, and you're feeling exhausted and stressed at the end of the day, then go back and say, well, what is the underlying belief system here? And how can I change that belief system and get everybody on board so that we can move forward a little bit more productively? And that's just one example. Belief systems drive everything that we do. They drive all of our actions. And anytime you're taking action, or you're just feeling stressed and exhausted and frustrated by something, go back and ask yourself, is there an underlying belief system here that may just need to be rewired, that I may need to start thinking differently about? And one of the ways we can change belief systems, firstly, we've got to create awareness around it. We've got to know what is the belief system that's limiting us and not allowing us to achieve our full potential. Then we can use affirmations to shift those belief systems. We can use examples of where the belief systems of others who have been potential enhancing belief systems have helped and where ours have held us back, we can start reframing the context to those belief systems. We can start testing out new beliefs and saying, okay, well, how do I feel about this? How can I implement this more in my life? And we've got to catch ourselves every time we think about the negative and limiting belief and rethink about it in a positive way, or shift the wording around those belief systems. So I covered a whole bunch of points today, much more than the 5 that I initially said I would. And the fact is, if you want to feel like a Wonder Woman, you need to be taking action on a daily basis that's going to drive you to achieve your fullest potential. And your fullest potential is unique to you. Your fullest potential is different to anybody other than you. It's unique to you. You know your passions. You know what drives you. You know what makes you happy. You know what energizes you. And you know what works on the flip side and takes away from all of that good. So it's important, really important, to apply, take actions, to start feeding yourself, to get the most out of who you are and what it is that you can bring into your experience and into the experience of all of those that are connected to you. So from what I wanted to share this morning and what I have shared, I think I've covered absolutely everything that I wanted to. And I think I've covered a whole bunch more, thanks to all of the comments that you've been making and the stories that you've shared and the inputs that you've shared. And I hope that this discussion format actually worked in order to enable us to connect better and in order for us to be able to share more than maybe just the 5 points that we would have shared this morning. So from my side, if you've got any final comments or questions, now's the time to pop them into the chat box. And I will send out a link to the marketing video that we did with Bernard last week, because I think that might help a few of you in terms of the questions that you've asked. If you've got content that you're passionate about sharing and you're looking to start sharing in an online platform, have never done before, then look at the marketing video as well. That's the Be the Beacon program that I've started, where I will help you to get your voice online. So if that's something you're interested in and you're really wanting to break through in terms of how you share and how you give back in an online environment, then reach out to me and I'll look at how I can assist you with that as well. And one final point that I want to share is that, and this one's just for the women out there, I've got an opportunity for women to work with me in a group coaching environment where I'll take you through a program that will help you to actually just shift the way you think about a whole lot of things, including your own beliefs, your values, how you set and achieve goals, how you just create a really strong level of self-awareness for yourself. I'll pop a one-liner into the email that I send out as well. And if you want to know more, then just get back in touch with me. That program starts in a couple of weeks. So applications or entry into the program will close soon. And from my side, I think that brings me to the end of today's session. I really did enjoy the time with you this morning, and I hope that the format helped you to get a fair bit of content and information out of the session. And we started off saying how to connect with your inner Wonder Woman and crush the barriers keeping you from your best life. And the barriers keeping you from the best life right now are very different to those that might have kept you away from your best life a month ago. And I think I hope that the session was relevant and allowed you to walk away with some actions that you can set for yourself. I've got a couple of comments coming through. Thank you very much. Benny says, what I have learned from the session is that your follow through is critical. Excellent points. Thank you. Absolutely. Nothing happens if we don't take action, Benny. So I'm looking forward to hear a good success story from you, Benny. One that doesn't include Netflix and includes a whole bunch of other exciting insights that's going to come from you. Shanae, what a wonderful session. Thank you, Usha. Thank you, Shanae. Sharon, thank you, Usha. Appreciate your wise words of wisdom. Thank you very much, Sharon. Tom, thanks for an amazing session. Thanks, Tom, for always being there and supporting. Muchidzi, it was an awesome session. Thank you. Thank you, Muchidzi. Branwen, thank you, Usha. Absolute pleasure, Branwen. Arisha, thanks, Usha. Very insightful. Thank you very much, Arisha. Marion, thank you so much. This has been very insightful. Thank you very much, Marion, and for sharing so freely. Lungile, thanks so much, Usha. Thanks, Lungile. And the way you've spelled my name all rhymes with star, so I like that. Thank you so much. Miloshni, Betchu, thank you, Usha. An informative and helpful session. Thank you, Miloshni. Kajal, thank you. Banunaika, thank you. And awesome session. Thank you very much and appreciate that. Thank you very much. You gave me much needed starting points to cope during this lockdown. Pleasure. Renal, thank you for the awesome session. And I learned a lot. Thank you, Anne. Christelle Holder, thank you very much. Machi Koma, thanks, Usha, very helpful. Lungile says, sorry. Oh, Lungile, no, did you spell my name, Usha? That rhymes with star. That's actually quite cool. Thanks. Michelle, thank you. Kim, thank you, Usha. Thank you all for joining me today. Please, I wish you absolutely safe and healthy time during lockdown and COVID-19. But more than that, I wish you many, many hours of inspiring activities that's going to really recharge you and help you to unlock your greatest potential, because I know that within each of you is a potential that you haven't even reached as yet. And now is the time, better than any that we've ever experienced before, to actually deep dive, find that core potential, and then make it happen. Not just for you, but for your communities, your families, your companies, your teams, and actually for the entire world. Let's just make it happen. Let's just go bigger, let's go bolder, and let's make 2020 shine for us. Even though we've started off with this really bumpy, rocky start, I think that we can turn it around for us and for everybody that we connect with. Thank you all for joining me this morning. Imelda, this was very informative. Thank you. Awesome practical advice. Thanks, everyone. Have yourselves a safe and excellent rest of the day. And I look forward to hearing some of your success stories from the actions that you've taken. Take care. And that's it from me. Goodbye.